This is Life Rewired, the brain injury podcast for survivors by survivors. And now your host, Rob and Ashley. Hi, welcome to Life Rewired. I'm Rob, and today joining me is Marc Fishman. Hi, Marc. How's it going?
Good, Rob. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, bud.
Congrats on the book. Well done. I'm glad it's well received, well
Thank
written.
you.
You did a great job.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Today we're talking about first of all, let's get into how you got your brain injury.
So I was driving my kids to school, third grader and a 4-year-old, two of my 4 kids, June 10, 13. And I was on a drop-off line on a descending hill, 8th car, waiting to drop off my kids. And I was rammed by a private security van for Allied Universal that was speeding down the hill. It's a 15-mile-per-hour hill. Rammed me from behind, and I entered the world of traumatic brain injury, concussion, and 24 surgeries and 2 neurostimulators, 1 in each chest. The primary diagnosis was occipital neuralgia, which is the headache disorder, 7 nerves, the rear neck. So, you can't be on pills and opioids your whole life, Rob. So put in a neurostimulator and, couldn't turn my head for a year and a half, did PT, and slowly got off the walker and the cane. They medically revoked my driver's license, not because the accident was my fault, but because when they find out in the state that you had a head injury and wires in your head, forget about it, no license. Yeah. And, I complained back then, but it was the right thing to do. I couldn't turn my head, so I should, recovery was hard.
Yeah. So has that since changed for you? Have you been able to get your license back?
Yeah, I got the license back in 2016, thanks to doctors and stuff. I attended PT. I ended up having a bunch of nerve injuries, which go to the force and impact. I have what's called cubital tunnel syndrome. You probably heard of carpal. You ever hear cubital?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
Cubital is when the nerves die in the elbow, the left elbow. So your fingers, your lower fingers, your pinky and your second finger turn numb. You can't turn a doorknob. You can't hold the key. So I had nerve injuries. I had the cubital tunnel. So they do what's called a nerve release, ulnar nerve release, where they pull the nerves out of the bone to hopefully recover strength. And some of us recover, and then some of us relapse. So I relapsed. I lost more strength, then attended PT for a year and a half to get strength in the left elbow. So I got the occipital neuralgia. I got the torn cuff and torn rotor in the left shoulder, broken toe, broken knee, sprained back, sprained pelvis, black and blue, and really the primary symptom was pain. And, the TBI symptoms were noticed, years later, which I'm sure, you've seen in yours. So, still suing the people that hit me. I'm in the Bronx court. I live in the Bronx. So we are 10 years. 10 years in court. They don't want to pay for long-term brain injury, and health insurance does not cover the stimulator. The neurostimulators are only covered by either Medicare. I'm too young. I'm 52, or the VA. So, my no faults had to pay. Thankfully, I had a large policy, but I'm running out. And so then they have to pay. They don't want to pay. So, welcome to the world of litigation. But it's been surreal.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about this is that litigation takes forever. Yeah, I've known people that's waited as long as you have, and the thing that gets me is you have to know your rights and the legalities of it. And when you're a brain injury survivor, you're doing good enough to make a cup of coffee in the morning. So it really helps to have an advocate for yourself. Did they fight you on any kind of a disability?
Oh yeah, they're still fighting. So what's amazing is that the attorneys for the insurance company don't believe you could be this injured from an accident. Yeah, well, let's see. I lost the electric and the air conditioning in my car. My seat motor broke. My daughter slid under the front seatbelt, was black and blue in the leg, and my 4-year-old son. Thank God we had the $600 double reinforced child seat, whatever. It cracked in half. But you should have been injured worse, or your car should show more injury. No, you're ramming us with a van with 6 people in it. I'm on the bottom of a hill. And then they're like, well, why didn't you hit the people in front of you? Well, let's see. I had a good teacher, my dad. I don't tailgate. So I stand 4 feet. in my car when I'm on a line. I don't know about you, Rob.
Wow.
I don't go a foot and a half. So my car moved up a foot and a half. Oh, you should have hit the other people. No, I'm glad I didn't hit the other people. I don't need anyone else to have the curse of TBI for all this time. Oh,
Yeah.
but your car doesn't show enough injuries. Okay, you know what I say? Just give me a Bronx injury. We'll show them. The see if we can get you the battery on the left, the battery on the right. The knee, all that stuff, the elbow. I had no problem talking to a jury, and thankfully there is a company, and companies are hated in the Bronx, and this one was owned by Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs has a problem paying your TBI. Okay, let's tell it to a Bronx jury. Come on, bring me in. Let's do it.
Yeah, I want to see that one go to jury because that will that will vote in your favor.
You gotta advocate for yourself. You
You
gotta
do.
advocate.
Yeah,
But
because
that
if
wasn't
you
the
don't, no
worst.
one's going to.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the worst. I mean, I think you and I met because I've suffered in family court.
Yeah.
I was divorced at the time. This was actually my visit with my kids, where I was warned that I could have my morning visits. I'm a morning person, as long as I got the kids to school on time. School began at 8. I was on that drop-off line religiously by 7:20. These people hit me at 7:30. She was rushing in the van to drive her kids, and she was
Mm.
actually pulling into a handicap spot. So she had some handicapped women in her van. So her van was like 8,000 pounds. When you get hit
Yeah.
8,000 pounds going downhill, that's a lot of force. And it doesn't take much to aggravate nerves and stuff. So
Hmm.
I've suffered more in the whole family court realm, because they took away 50% custody of my kids, and they've tortured me for saying, like, why do you bring the kids 5 minutes late, or why are you impulsive, or why are your eyes bloodshot? Oh, go for another urine test. Oh, go for another drug test. Your Honor, I don't take pills. I have a sensitive liver. Oh, I don't care. Your eyes are bloodshot. You look drunk. Go pee in a cup. Go. My office will watch you. I said, really, there's nothing exciting to see. I said, you're going to
Right.
make the ex go pee in a cup? Oh, no. That's discrimination. And Rob, that's, I guess, how you and I met. That's disability discrimination, and that's where I
Yes.
took the family court to federal court, and I've had some victories, and I'm still there. Um, you know,
Yeah, you're making some headway there though, from what I'm seeing.
thankfully,
Yeah.
thankfully. So here I was, if you can imagine. Fast forward a couple years later, the judge Michelle Shower in Yonkers, New York, says, "Why did I disobey her order?" And here I am in court. I said, "Excuse me, Your Honor, what do you mean disobey your order?" She says, "I told you, Mr. Fishman, there are no gifts allowed to be sent to your kids in the last 6 months, and you sent 26 gifts." I said, "Excuse me, Your Honor." I said, "I'm looking at your order here that I had 3 attorneys interpret, because you denied my note taker, and I can't write, and you denied a tape recorder, I can't remember, and your transcripts take 6 to 8 months to get because they're got to be analog, digital recorded, and your courtroom is rated inaudible by the court system, so I don't hear well. And it says here I can send gifts on major holidays and birthdays." So the judge takes the microphone, moves to the left, and she said, "Mr. Fishman, 26 gifts were sent." I said, "Well, I have 4 kids." I said, "But I didn't send 26 gifts. My daughter ordered off Amazon. I gave her $1,000 gift certificate a year before. She was painting her room. I don't get to live with her. So she bought a lot of stuff. My mother sent some stuff. My aunt sent some stuff." I said, "Your Honor, I don't shop at New Marcus. I'm a Nordstrom guy. And I certainly don't go to Claire's. Believe me, I hear isn't that fashionable to go to Claire's, Your Honor. You know." And she said, "Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, no. I asked your mother to come in, okay, and testify that these are her expenses. And I sent a letter with you and your attorney saying you're going to go to jail if you don't. She doesn't come testify." I said, Your Honor, my mother's dying of breast cancer. I wouldn't have her testify and pay me $5 million. I wouldn't bring her in here. I said, but I brought in a certified affidavit from her accountant and her credit card receipts saying she bought the thing at Neiman Marcus, and she went to Claire's and all that stuff. And the judge says, Fishman, you're a liar. She says, your mother, any mother, would come in here to protect you from going to jail. And I said, Your Honor, you'll never get it. I said, no self-respecting son would subject any mother, with or without cancer, to come in here. You may have my butt in this thing we call family court mafia, but you don't have hers.
Right. Wow. That there's so many uncompassionate people in this world. How could you sit there and want demand somebody died of cancer to come in and testify? That makes no sense.
And Rob, they intensify it. So the court hates invisible disabilities. The smartest investment I made
Mm-hmm.
was hiring an American Disabilities Advocate. I hired a lawyer who worked for David Bowie's. Okay, Bowie's was the lawyer for Gore in Gore versus Bush, the Supreme Court, won
Mm-hmm.
the election, and her name was Donna Drum, and she was incredibly helpful. And before this whole, tactic of whether I remember, because the truth of the matter is the judge did say there were no gifts to be sent, but in her order, she said gifts could be sent on major holidays and birthdays. I didn't remember what she said 6 months ago. She didn't allow a note taker in. She didn't allow a tape recorder. She didn't allow large print. As a matter of fact, her order in some cases were handwritten. And the type ones were like 1 or 2 centimeters long. You expect me to remember? I have a neuralgia. My eyes are burning. Back then, I was in speech therapy, uh, cognitive therapy. I was also in TBI therapy. And I had neuropsych reports from Columbia University saying, I won't remember. I remember it was 4% of a typical 44-year-old. And
Wow.
so the judge said at the end of that hearing, okay, because she had to do her drama, she said to my advocate, and she said to me, Mr. Fishman remembers when he wants to. And you know what? 3 weeks in jail. 3 weeks in jail for what? What's the crime? She said contempt of court. Contempt of what, Your Honor? I sent gifts on major holidays. I sent gifts on Easter, Passover, July 4th, kids' birthdays. She takes the microphone to the side. She makes sure it shuts off, Rob. You know what she says? Maybe in your effing family, those are holidays, okay? But in normal families, they're not. And she goes back, pulls the microphone in front. She says, 3 weeks in jail, take them away. Leg irons, okay? Handcuffs, people
Wow.
around me, whatever, and end up doing 2 weeks in the jail hospital because my implants are explosive. So they can't have me in population. I get punched, I'm dead. And there's so many metal detectors in jail, not like the metal detectors you and I use at the airport. They're high density ones. These can get
Mm-hmm.
heated up and explode. So I was in
Wow.
jail hospital. Yeah, for because my daughter went on Amazon and she has 3 siblings and she bought a lot of stuff. And my mom sent gifts. I think I sent 1 or 2 items. My aunt sent gifts. They all had my last name on the back. And this is family court in New York. This is family court. You know?
Goodness. So now that we're weeks, months, whatever, into the future, um, I know that you've got a petition going around, and I'm going to link that below. So if you guys would like to help Mark out, go into this to the description. Sorry, don't mean to stutter. Go into the description, and there'll be a link there to the petition. If you just go in and click that and sign that petition to help him out, that would be greatly appreciated because he really needs help. And you have to have an advocate, and if you're watching this, you understand what it's like that the society's against us, and you have to really have a voice. So let's put our voices together and help Mark out.
No, I really appreciate that, Rob. And I want to thank everyone. And I just want to add that there's a positive story that came out of this, Rob,
Yeah.
because I was in jail for 2 weeks, and it was supposed to be a 3 week sentence. There's no bail. There's contempt of court. The warden received so many letters from disability advocates. The county disability liaison, he received a letter from several politicians saying that he needs to accommodate me, keep me safe. I was in a room with 3 other guys in a hospital with cable TV. I can't complain. I mean, they took away my remotes, my stimulator first day, so I had put holes in my head, and I was already dizzy and stuff. And then we
Mm,
give me a pillow. That was really the big torture. Anyone with a stimulator, if you don't have a pillow, if you lie flat, you're gonna electric's gonna just put holes in the back of your head. It's gonna really infect you. But other than that, the warden came to me and said, I have a lot of disabled people here. I want you to help. You've been successful with advocacy. Let's make something good of this. He also said, I'm going to keep you safe. He's like, you're on the 24/7 camera. Nobody's going to touch you. He's like, and you're going to get a card. So, he was a sweetheart. And
yeah.
you saw some terrible things in there. I'm not going to tell you I didn't, and I'm not going to tell you it was camp. And certainly, one of the people in my room was a murderer, double murderer.
Oh
And here I am
wow.
in a jail hospital, and this guy is dying of cancer, and every half hour he's telling you how he's going to kill you. And like
Goodness.
you, I'm a man of faith. And I went up to him. His name was Castro, and I said, "Look, I've watched you suffer the past 3 days, and I hear you. Please, if I could take my stimulator out and just give it to you, so you wouldn't have pain for a week, one human to another, I'd do it." It's you learn respect and advocacy for the common man, and that's essence when I was there because I had the warden's ear. Suddenly the guards were coming to me saying, "Oh, can you make an advocacy for this guy? Can you help the homeless guy?" I said, "I'm in an orange Mexican soup with these Mexican shoes. I don't have underwear. You guys didn't even give me a change or anything. You walk me from intake there. You're like, who cares if you get a toothbrush or a utensil, because you're here for 2 weeks. Don't complain. I wasn't, but they did come and, had to take a stand. We had a homeless guy in the room who was also in a hospital bed and started raining in. Westchester County raining. I don't know who fixed the roof. Supposed they had a new roof. It must have been the same Italian people, in the mafia running family court. But make a long story short, it started raining in. And it was raining on the homeless people, the
Oh
homeless guy.
wow.
And I'm over there.
Uh,
And, one of the other guys pressed the button. And they say, we need assistance. The water's going on. He'll get electrocuted. Oh, mind your own business. Do your own thing. And then they did it twice. And they know, Rob, like you, I couldn't just sit there. I got out of bed. I moved his hospital bed next to mine. And then all of a sudden, 6 sets of guards and cleanup crews coming in, mopping up the water and everything. It's like, and I'm thinking, are they coming for me? What are they going to do? No. They started cleaning up whatever. And it was that high that the warden was paying protect me. Couldn't watch homeless guy electrocuted from water raining in. Come on. We're humans.
yeah.
We're humans,
I love
you know?
that. I love
And what
that
was the guy there for?
even in that situation, you were still looking out for your fellow brothers.
You had to. So what came out of it was with the half-size pencil they gave me, I started writing my federal lawsuit, pro se, in jail in 2017. And then that later became the July 1621 decision from Federal Second Circuit, ordering New York courts, 5 family court judges, the administrative judge, to provide communication accommodations for disabled people.
I love it.
All right.
That's a win. That's a big win.
That's a big win.
Yes.
And if I got to do 2 weeks in jail to get more big wins, I'll go there, my friend. No problem with me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So what is your goal? Are you wanting to do some more advocacy for prison?
My goal is to get my kids back as a result of the, incident in jail in the federal lawsuit. The courts retaliated and conspired with a cop to have me
Mm,
arrested during supervised visitation. So they conspired with a cop named Lane Schlesinger. I was at supervised visitation with my 500 holiday supervisor and my disability aide because, family court judge said, you can't drive. And I went to my ex-house driven by the aide and the supervisor. I had visits twice a month, 8 hours. And we parked 4 houses near my ex-wife's house. Again, I was in the back seat actually working, actually helping a vet. And my aide drove there. The supervisor went out to get my autistic son. We were supposed to take him to his special needs hockey class. And my ex wouldn't give him the kid. So I told the aide and supervisor, drive me to the police station. Went to the police station. I identified myself as a traumatic brain injury survivor. I showed him my implants. I showed him my brain injury card saying I need a note taker. I need help. I said, this is my aide, Isabel. I need her to help interpret the 28-page single space visitation order. And then I'd like a police report that she's violent. And then I'd like you to facilitate visitation by having her bring the kid here and give her to my aide and supervisor. And then they proceeded to start to arrest me. They separated me from my disability aide. They did. And I'm looking at him. I said, I can't interpret 28 pages. I'm in cognitive. Oh, you start reading. I started reading in the room where they separated my aide. Had a massive vesicular neuralgia attack, broke up in rashes.
mm.
Head collapsed down, and he comes back in and denies my request for a pen and paper to give my version, and just says, "I'm putting you under arrest for contempt of court, violating order of protection, for going near the house." Now, Rob, you know what? I have TBI problems. I have some memory stem. I have high IQ and I have good common sense like you. I didn't go on her property. I had a court order saying I can go near her property for supervised visits. My supervisor went to get the kid. It was confirmed. So, the
Wow.
bottom line is that the guy says, okay, we got to keep you for the whole weekend because you need $1,500 and you don't have that in your wallet. I said, who gave you permission to go through my wallet? you know. So he says, "Oh, you have $300." So the chief's going to release you because he don't want to keep you here because then he's got to take you to the hospital. I said, "Take me to the hospital. Don't give me a note taker. I'll give me an
Mm.
interpreter. We can talk about the 28-page visitation order." I said, "I want to go home. Give me 20." No. We're letting you out. Okay. So anyway, that spirals into a conviction at a trial in
Mm.
2020. Okay, from the corrupt cop who knew I didn't go on the property, and now it turns out, Rob, what goes around comes around. 4 years later, to be police pattern misconduct, disability discriminating cop Only one in Westchester County, New York, labeled by the Attorney General a couple weeks ago. So anyway, we have the trial, and the police and the cops don't give any video footage, don't give any audio. Like you and I, let's go to the videotape. I said, what do you mean? I was in there for hours. I said, I'm a real estate guy. There are 8 cameras in the ceiling. Where's the cameras? Oh, we lost them. We can't find them. They weren't working. They were just installed. I swear, this was more excuses than I heard from my kindergarten. Okay. I've survived motion to dismiss. Got my friend, the civil rights attorney, to take over the case. After he said, and several of my relatives said, suing the cops was absolutely the dumbest thing, Fishman, you could have possibly done ever to anybody. And then they said that to me in January. You're going to drop the case? No, he discriminated. He violated my rights under the ADA. I'm trying to work in their ridiculous system with a supervisor and aide, driving, picking up disabled son. What is this? I'm going to sue him on the ADA. They said, you're going to lose. I said, well, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to appeal. And if I'm going to appeal and lose, I'm going to go to the Supreme Court. If that don't work, I'll get a bunch of other people to do class action. So anyway, in October 21, I survived motion to dismiss, and the judge said, made a prima facie case. He's disabled. He asked for accommodation, accommodate him. So, they proceeded, Rob, in federal court to say, well, he didn't ask for an accommodation. Well, Rob, guess what? Now we got the video, because after, the experience I went of seeing how, you're humiliated in jail and authority, I had those police chief and Officer Schlesinger brought to federal court in White Plains in the chambers of the magistrate. And I had my attorney ask them and put up their right hand after they had to strip all the police gear and give it to the federal marshals. So they're just sitting there in a nice shirt like you and I. Where are the videos? Where is the rate? Oh, we have them. Oh, we've had them for 4.5 years. Really? Wow, this is great. Well, where were they 4.5 years? Oh, well, we couldn't find them. They were missing. Aren't they digital? Don't they have a backup? And what does the camera show? Mark asked for an accommodation 4 times at the window. What does the accommodation show? The cop says to my aide and supervisor, I don't think Mark committed a crime. I don't think Mark went on the property. What else does it show? It shows the cop talking to my ex-wife. He asked her 3 times, did Mr. Fishman go on the property? No. Okay, that's not what you told the jury. That's not what you told the judge. Now we got your pattern misconduct. And so now he becomes the first Westchester cop in this law enforcement misconduct investigation to be pattern misconduct, terminated, labeled. Okay, and what makes this so significant, Rob, is in order to get this title, you had to be referred by the police chief. And they tried to hide it from us. And luckily, we applied for summary judgment in July, Rob, and the federal judge now knows about it before he determines.
So what has happened to the cop?
The cop was terminated in May. So, Rob, this is where it gets even more interesting. So, I told you that we sued the judges. So here we are, that the trial is in 20. And, okay, sentence me. I lost the trial. Sentence me. I could appeal. No, we're going to come back tomorrow and talk about orders of protection for your kids. What? You didn't charge me or convict me for orders of protection for your kids. No, we're going to do that. They come back the next day. Judge is fine with DA. We come back 12 times.
So basically, they're running you in a circle to keep dragging it out.
You got it. They never wanted there to be an appeal. They just wanted to keep me away from my kids. My youngest now 16 and a half. By that time they're 18, so I never see them. They never knew we'd get survive summary judgment. They never knew we'd get the cameras.
Is there a way to get your record expunged and get those warrants removed?
We have asked the DA to investigate every single conviction of Lane Schlesinger. They have come back and said no until you surrender on the warrants. The Attorney General needs to take over the case. The governor needs to remove the DA. Attorney General needs to take over the case. Attorney General needs to investigate mine. And we need to make sure the Attorney General appoints someone independent, because the Attorney General, my friend, was the one who defended the judges and the employees in my federal lawsuit that I won the communication accommodation. Which leads me to say this to you, my friend. 16 cops were labeled pattern misconduct. 10 of them were New York City. All 10 list all the lawsuits against them as part of the misconduct report. How come my cop doesn't have my lawsuit against him? If you look up Lane Schlesinger and Marc Fishman, we come up everywhere. Justia, Pacer, Yahoo, Google Scholar, Case Text. You can't look up his name and not see it. I have federal judge from Miles higher. So either the Attorney General is incompetent and didn't find it, which I find hard to believe, or she purposely didn't put it there, because she don't want to help me because I win this case, it could overturn her other cases. Yeah. I won the accommodation, my friend, Rob, in federal court. I didn't win back the money for the 50,000 transcripts I had to pay.
Wow. What can our audience do to help you?
We're asking everyone, as you said, to contact the district attorney, Susan Cacace. It is S. Cacace, SCACACE, at Westchester da.net and ask her
Okay.
to drop charges against Marc Fishman.
Okay.
The case is 6293/2018. Ask her to drop charges. If she can't, then she should recuse because she's friends with the other judges. And we could also contact the Attorney General and
Okay.
say, open up your reinvestigation of Lane Schlesinger, and let's talk about what disability discrimination. Because Rob, this topic is not talked about enough. She found police misconduct. She found civil rights violations. She found falsifying evidence. She found lying. But if you and I were to read it, it's like, this guy disability discriminates.
Hmm.
There was one case in hers where she says Schlesinger goes to the house of a heart attack survivor, and the guy allegedly left the scene of a crime. Okay, what was the crime? He had a fender bender down the block, and his son took him to the hospital. So Schlesingers over there saying, I got to arrest you because you should have stayed by the car until the cops arrived to arrest the fender bender. And the son says, I took my dad to the hospital because he had chest pains. And Schlesinger was then disrespectful and rude. Well, you shouldn't be driving. And you're like this. And then the African American son says to Schlesinger, my brother, we got to be have empathy for the common man. And I drove my dad to the hospital. Okay, thankfully he's okay. He's right here. And then Schlesinger says, why are you calling me brother? And the guy says, it's a nice way to communicate. Don't you like when you establish a rapport and you call someone brother? Okay. And Schlesinger says, no, actually, I find it quite insulting. You are in a town that has half minorities and you find it insulting that someone says brother? Rob, some people call me brother. Some people call me shithead. Some people don't call me. Some people, make names. I don't care what you call me. I like being called, and you're a cop and you're saying you're insulted because someone calls you brother? My
Wow.
God, what if someone really called you a bad name? You got to take out your gun, you got to kill him? you
Right.
know?
Even if it was offensive, freedom of speech. So we just going to violate all of your rights?
You have no rights. Then he says, you guys should never drive again. I didn't know you were motor vehicles. I didn't know you were a judge. This is sly remarks. This is insulting, incendiary. But I'm saying if Attorney General James and the police department and the civil rights organization that are all complained to in 1819 about my false arrest would have taken him seriously, he
Yeah.
wouldn't have committed all these others. There'd be no misconduct. He'd be gone. No, I'm the convict. Convict for what? Makes you
Hmm.
really wonder about our justice system or lack thereof, right?
Yeah. There's good cops and there's a lot of bad cops, but it seems like the bad cops are the ones that get involved with situations like this, and there's prejudice there against people with disabilities, just like there's prejudice against people with people that are aging into the elderly community, and people don't want to hire them. So there's all kinds of prejudice out there still. I don't know that we'll ever get past that, but that doesn't mean we should stop fighting.
You're totally right, but let me say this: most cops and some cops are my friends are great cops.
Hmm.
It's the bad apples,
Yeah.
okay? And let's lay responsibility on police administration and the cities that employ them. At our deposition, my attorney just went right to the cop and right to the supervisor and said, "Do you know what a cognitive impairment is?" And he was dumbfounded. My attorney then said, "Do you know what cognition is?" No. Have you ever been trained to accommodate somebody with a cognitive impairment? And he
Nope.
says, I don't believe we have. How long have you been an officer? Officer Slasher, how long have you been a lieutenant? 22 years. You have not had any training in cognitive impairments includes dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, traumatic brain injury, some of the, ADHD symptoms, and you don't even know what an impairment is. So how would you be able to accommodate anybody? So, it turns out, a week later we get a little bullet in the mail. It says, oh, Rob, they attended Alzheimer's training for a half hour in the last 14 years. 1.5 hour. What? You know? So get this. So you turn this around and you go over to them, the cops, and you say, how come you didn't accommodate Fishman? He showed you the brain injury card. And the cop says, well, I just ignored it. You just ignored it? So on the back, it says he has tangential speech. He can't focus. He has burning eyes. He can't read small print. He ignored it. So what about his implant card? His implant card said, call a neurosurgeon, that he's in a lot of pain all the time, and in stressful circumstances, the stimulator goes on high. So I have tinnitus. I don't hear out of my left ear if I get very upset. Just goes blank. Well, I didn't think it was necessary. You didn't think it was necessary? He had his aide right there in the station. He just asked his aide to accompany him. That's an aide to a disabled person is more important than a lawyer.
Mm.
And then my attorney says, so let's put it this way. Let's assume the paraplegic came in. And the aide needs to push the wheelchair. And you denied the aide. And the guy had to go on the floor and maybe crawl, try to get to your. I mean, is this sensible to you? That would be an obvious disability. You guys said that in your report. We're letting Mr. Fishman go because he's in very poor health. Aren't people in very poor health disabled? And then the cop says, well, I didn't say he wasn't disabled. Oh, okay. So you accommodate him. No, I didn't accommodate him. So wait a second. Okay, someone charged with domestic violence crime like Fishman. We all know it's false, but let's say if someone's charged and he comes to you on a Saturday morning and you charge him, what's the normal protocol? Oh, the normal protocol is we hold that perp in a jail cell at the precinct for the whole weekend till Monday morning, and we bring him to the judge, in the afternoon. Oh, so why don't you hold Fishman? Well, he has medical needs, and I saw. Oh, you saw he was disabled. So wait a second. So wouldn't you say you letting him go Saturday is an accommodation? Well,
Yeah.
I say it again, sir. 22-year veteran, chief, lieutenant, Windsor. Was you letting Fishman go, even though he didn't ask to? Okay, with his aide to go home, a accommodation for a disabled person. Yes, you can say it was. Well, thank you. So you have no problem doing accommodations to send him home, but when he wants his aid, you say no. And when he wants a pen and paper, he can't have one because he's a convict. Because his daughter ordered gifts on Amazon. Oh, so why don't we just throw out the Constitution and throw out accommodations? Why do you think people have court-ordered aids? And it says here again, did you see Mr. Fishman's jail records? What do you mean? Well, you said you look at the ticker tape to see the orders of protection. You see he's had 30 of them. But only according to you, 2 were active, right? Okay. So his judge likes to issue orders of protection like you and I use toilet paper. It keeps me there for 5-6 years. I mean, that's our problem. But it's disturbing. It's disturbing. But getting to the point is wait a second. You accommodated him, even though you don't know what accommodation is, and you still can't tell me what his cognitive impairment is. But had you allow his aide in, she could have described the court order. She could have highlighted the paragraphs. She could have read it to you. And then there wouldn't have been reason for the arrest. Not that there was, because there was no probable cause, because he didn't go on the property. Lieutenant, on the order of protection you arrested Mr. Fishman for him, was there any distance to stay away from the property? No. Was the transcript of Mr. Fishman in court when he had leg irons being led to the pound, okay? Did it have any instruction distance to stay away from the property during supervised visitation? No. Was there any allegation that Mr. Fishman ever went to the property, on the border, on the property, on the sidewalk, on the curb? No. So why'd you arrest Mr. Fishman? Do you hate disabled people? Don't answer that. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. That speaks volumes to me, Rob.
Yeah, because they know that makes them look bad. And that's what the thing is. They are afraid. Well, no, let me rephrase that. They don't want to acknowledge that a brain injury is a disability, even though the ADA is now recognizing brain injuries as disabilities. And it's lack of education. That's
you
why
hit the
it's
nail
so
on the head.
important. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. You're very smart, my friend. In my pro se lawsuit, which again, everyone said was the dumbest thing I ever did in January 19, I gave the judges 8 pages on how to educate on cognitive and hearing impairments.
Yeah.
And I told them, my goal here is to educate everyone. I didn't think I'd be guilty. Then obviously I sued before I was guilty or innocent. And that's the other beautiful thing I want to remind your viewers. Unlike malicious prosecution or false arrests, you don't need to be proven innocent or guilty to sue under the American Disabilities Act or the Rehabilitation Act. You have to just be denied the accommodation. You knew I was disabled. You knew I had these impairments. I asked for accommodation. The accommodation didn't change your program or wasn't undue cost. My aid was right there. You had a court order that she's the aid. A pen and paper? Watch a lot of Law and Order. They always give a pen and paper. Oh, no, Fishman can't have one because he's a convict. Okay, So if you acknowledge someone's disabled, which you basically did, you deny the accommodation, okay? You don't provide an alternate one. You don't, as in your police handbook, say, what do you do when you have someone like him? You take him to the hospital. Rob, the hospital's only 5 blocks away, and 2 of my neurosurgeries there. Oh, we can't take him there because the hospital's going to tell him he's disabled, and they give him an interpreter so there's no crime. Oh, or you guys are just too lazy, right? You can't keep him in the pen because he needs electric and equipment to charge the stimulator stuff. So, what do? You facilitate a false arrest. You got to torture him. Kids don't have him for 1,500 days. The bigger picture here is I encourage your viewers and everyone, if you're involved in the government and the government or any of its entities, a city, state, whatever, denies you a reasonable accommodation in a place of public accommodations, you complain to human rights. You go to legal services, or in New York, you go to like MFY Legal or some of the names, Disability Rights New York.
They just discriminated right from the very beginning and just continue to do it the entire way through.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got
I'm
it.
so sorry you've had to go through that. That's not something anybody should have to go through.
But God works in mysterious ways. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've advocated help for lots of others. I've gotten note takers for lots of others. I've gotten thank yous, even from people like attorneys. The worst people who have it, if you're getting divorced, worse than disabled people, if you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer going through a divorce, they treat you like crap. Or you're a veteran.
Yep.
And now those people come to me and say, Fishman, can you help me write an accommodation? Can you look at my PTSD? Can you do it? And I do it, no charge. And I man a hotline for veterans that want to commit suicide stuff. And you help, because it helps me redirect the pain of not seeing my kids. But if I could help one other person not go through a nightmare, Rob, believe me, I'll do it.
I love that. I love your passion. I do love your passion. And I'll point this out to you. When I started this whole podcast, I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm none of that. But it finally clicked one day that God doesn't use people that are qualified. He uses people that are ready to go, that they'll follow wherever he says go. So that's why I did that. That's why I'm so passionate about raising awareness, and that's why God's using this. And I pray that it reaches everybody that it needs to reach.
Well, thank you.
I
thank
think
you.
Thank your
you
cause is going to as well.
Book. Thank you. I see it in your eyes. I see the passion. I feel it. It's one of the reasons why I want to get together and chat. We met through Christabel Braden, another great advocate, another person whose music and song has helped me through very tough times.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. It is still shocking. Where you and I are in the only club that most people are guaranteed to join. It's called the Disabled Club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 in 4 in Westchester County have a disability. 1 in 5 in New York State have a disability. Why do you hate us? What is so bad about asking for an accommodation?
They want you to comply with what they determine is the issue, and go with it. Don't question me. So they're going to make it as hard as they can because they know they can, and they're expecting you not to have any pushback.
And the problem is, like you, I was a very private person. I was embarrassed of my condition and shameful in 16, 17. But after I got jailed, and I'm there with the prison psychologist, who I could barely hear, and my stimulator's going off, and they still wouldn't give me my remote to lower it myself, and I'm blistering on the side and hives. I thought he got a lot of blister and hives. I have to take steroid creams. Wow. The stimulator overheats my skin. And they saw all these physical things. I just see it right in front of them. I'm like, you can give me my steroid cream? No, you got to wait till the doctor in the morning. So I'm over there. And, prison therapy is different. You're in the main hallway. They keep all the doors open to the 14 prison rooms, and everyone hears you talking to the therapist. And she's over there. You want to commit suicide? I say, excuse me? She says, the guy checked you in. He couldn't understand what you were saying, so he asked if you were in mental therapy and getting help. I said, yeah, I'm in a lot of therapy. I have group therapy. I have mental therapy. I have cognitive therapy. I have speech therapy. I have TBI. Matter of fact, being here disrupts my therapy. And I go religiously. It's helpful. And they said, do I read this right? She's jailing you for sending gifts to your kids? No, she's jailing me because my daughter ordered gifts for her brothers and herself with the gift card I gave her before there was no protection, and my mother and my aunt sent gifts. And is this right? And she says, so where's the crime? I said, exactly. And they said, do you feel like you're hurting yourself because of what Shower did to you? I said, excuse me? You think I'd give that judge 1 ounce of my spit and think badly to hurt myself because of her? Okay. God witnesses all,
Yeah.
and she will have to face him one day.
Mm-hmm.
I am nothing, but I tell you this: I wouldn't hurt myself for anything for any of those court people.
So much corruption. So much corruption. I don't understand. Maybe we're not supposed to understand, but that doesn't mean we can't fight.
Education's been a lot.
There's way too many ways you get a brain injury. I don't know if you saw the presentation I gave at the library last week or the week before. My days are going together. But that was one key way that I wanted to communicate with people that don't get it, is that it's a misnomer that you only can get it from hitting your head. There's lots of ways you could get a brain injury. So, yeah, I really wanted to drive that point home.
And I want to say, you're totally right, and I admire you for coming out, and I think it's great you talk about your story. I want to talk about, the way I wrote this lawsuit. It took me 10 months. I wrote it to survive motion to dismiss. I wrote it not with the passion like, oh, I got to sue a judge. No, I sued the court system.
Yeah.
I sued the court system because the court system is the one who originally said through their executive administration, we don't have to provide Mr. Fishman with real-time transcription, okay, or a note taker. He can bring a note taker himself, okay, but, if an individual judge denies it, he can appeal to the appellate division in Brooklyn. That's 3 years, okay, and get it. But as far as his hearing impairment, Mr. Fishman states he has tinnitus. He's given medical diagnosis. He has tinnitus. Okay. But this court system doesn't find that Mr. Fishman is hearing impaired. He seems to hear fine. Are you a doctor? Are you a nurse? You have science? Do you know what it's like to have a stimulator? Electric wires by your head going bzzz, bzzz. Oh, you're an administrator. You got no science or medical degree. Do you cite any report? What's even more ironic, Rob, is that they made me go to all these experts, forensic psychologist, social worker, supervisor, all this stuff. You know what they all said? He has a hearing and memory impairment. You got to read your own reports? Oh, a judge does not have to read their own reports, Rob, from the people they force you to pay. Oh, $169,000. You make me go. They don't have to read the reports. The appellate division does either? No. And again, we find you're not disabled. You can appeal this to the chief disability officer. Appeal to him. Oh, it's upheld.
Wow.
Tinnitus is the largest filed disability of veterans coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan. The 3M earplugs were defective. It's the most common one granted by the Veterans Administration. And you are saying that you have this terrible condition, but your hearing is fine? Really? My tinnitus is controlled by a stimulator, which is on 24/7. And when it's off, I get vertigo, I get dizziness, and I get the wing. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you guys hate me so much. You don't want me to hear. You want someone to be the villain. And maybe there's a problem. We need federal civil rights monitors over family court. Mm-hmm. We need Trump to come in, and just like he didn't get a fair trial, no one can. And let me tell you, viewers, this in case they didn't know. Seeing that trial and forgetting about the issues, because to me the issues were irrelevant. Let me tell you what I saw, Rob. I saw family court Judge Merchant. Yes, Judge Merchant's a family court judge. Used family court weapons. Oh, you disagree with the court, so you get a gatekeeping order. Mm-hmm. You can't file any papers without the court's permission, and court permission's always denied. Oh, it's worse. Oh, you got a gag order. You can't talk about the case, because if you do, you go to jail. Oh, you don't abide by the contempt order. Well, then we're going to fine you. Oh, and then we're just going to put you in jail. Now, wait a second. Last I heard, Judge Merchant was appointed by the governor, Court of Claims. Okay, but they allow him to be an assigned family court judge, or now he's an assigned criminal judge. You weren't elected by the people. We're going to vote for you over there. You are giving the former president of the United States, he can't file papers, he can't speak out in a case. You don't give him permission, okay? And you think any of us other regular people, disabled or not, in New York, are going to get a fair shake? Why is you just telling me he's going to lose? Then we could have went right to federal court. It'll be easier. No, you need the spectacle. You got to talk about, a man paying a woman for sex or whatever the hell they call it. In Europe, they laugh at us, Rob. You go to Amsterdam, France, they laugh at us. Like, that's the oldest job in the book. What's the big deal? But we got 34 felonies. But Rob, he can appear in court virtually, but Fishman can't. Fishman's got to go to jail. One misdemeanor. That didn't happen.
That's what I was going to say. That it didn't actually happen. Oh gosh, you have been through it. Well, do not give up the fight, my friend. You're going to win. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you today. I want to remind the viewers, please read the comments. If you never read the comments, please read the description today. I want you to click on that link. I want you to go sign that petition so we can get this in front of the judge and say, get this out of here. Why is this going on? Let's get some justice for Marc. So,
Thank you.
Marc, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. I
Thank you.
really
And thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for the book again. You
You're
know,
welcome.
I've written so many excerpts, and I can tell you it's so hard to organize my thoughts. It's the hardest thing coming out of it is organization, and
Yes.
I struggle with it the most.
Yeah.
And putting together exhibits for lawsuits, I get a headache. I ask for accommodations, saying I can't put together exhibits. I get a panic attack.
Yeah.
And they would help me. So I got to give you a tremendous amount. It is so hard to put pen to paper with a TBI and try and stay focused. It is so hard. People don't realize it's like the worst ongoing headache that never goes away over and over. So I give you tremendous kudos, my friend.
Thank you.
Because that's great accomplishment and a huge statement of your belief in helping those with TBI, post-concussion brain injury. It is so hard organized, and you organize it beautifully. So congratulations, my friend.
I appreciate that. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you know anybody that can help Marc, I'm sure Marc, you would be more than willing to accept any help. Reach out to me, email me. I will get the information to Marc and make sure that we can do that because we want to see justice. And
thank you.
Think of it like this. If this happened to Marc, this can happen to you too. Justice, they say justice is blind. Well, yeah. So is our disabilities. So let's not let this happen to anybody else. Let's take Marc as an example that he shouldn't have to be an example, but let's get some justice. Let's keep those prayers going up for Marc. And until next time, we'll see you guys. This is Life Rewired.
Thank you, everyone.